Good morning, ladies. Happy New Year and welcome back to the School of Basti. This is Nefer Sayu. I am glad to be with you here today and I hope you had rested well last night. Good morning. Come on in and have a seat on your mat. Sit up nice and straight and let's go ahead and have a good, much needed, refreshing drink of water. All right, let's start the day off with some breathing and stretching before we get into the lesson. Hopefully, you have all been practicing the square breathing technique I shared with you in the first class. If you haven't yet mastered it, that's okay. Just do your best to maintain deep, even breathing throughout this exercise. Start out by stretching your hands to the sky. Lift your arms and pull yourself up into alignment. Really feel your spine lengthen and loosen. Lean your body to the left, bending like a willow branch. Try to keep your buttocks firmly on the ground and just bend with your upper half, just with your torso, like I just popped. So lean to the left, stretch. Now lean to the right. Feel it. Feel the space between your ribs and your hips. Maintain your breathing. Place your head down on the floor and stretch your hands out in front. Feel the pull in your back. Come back, look up at the ceiling, arch your back like a cobra. Feel it stretch even from your throat to your clavicle into your chest. Maintain your breathing. Sit up straight and rotate your head. Let it just fall to the side by your shoulder. Rotate to the front, back to the other shoulder. All the way behind, now the other way. Nice and slow, just roll your head. Okay, rotate your shoulders. Rotate them back together. Now forward together. Now just the right, just the left. Go forward with just the right. Go forward with just the left. Okay, let's get going. I want you to sit and bring your mind to all of your body parts, starting with your toes. Start with your toes and think about everything that makes you, you, from the toes to the tip of the hair. Wake up with each of those parts. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your nose, bite your lip a little bit, move your ears if you can do that. And then think about even the tiniest strand of hair. And mentally thank your body for all of the work and service it does every day to provide itself as a vehicle for you to get from place to place, for you to be able to learn and experience things and have fun. Think of all the little things that you take for granted, like being able to walk without pain or without too much pain. And if you can't walk, then you have strength in your arms. And even if you're bedbound listening to that, you still have breath in your lungs and the will to listen, and that is something to be grateful for. So often, it is easy for us women to internalize situations, make them about us, and we can miss the opportunity to step outside the situation and see how we are contributing to it. We don't see our subtle attitudes and disappointments and how they can agitate other people or cause them to treat us differently. In short, it is not always them. In fact, it rarely is. Sometimes it is us. The fact is, if you want to be a queen, then you have to learn how to approach situations with a peaceful, even-tempered, quiet authority. Yes, we have voices. Yes, the time will come to use them, but our voices become meaningless the more that we talk. I know that in this class, we usually refer to the cat for our lessons, but today I'm going to take a page from the book of Wetra, the book of horses. When I was just a young girl, learning about horse medicine, I was taught by a Sioux native named Guani Ponyboy. He taught me one story that made so much sense, not just in the terms of training and riding horses, but as a metaphor for life as well. It went like this. A young woman had a particularly loud and harsh way about her when asking her horse to stop. She was rough on his reins and harsh and almost panicky in tone when pulling him up, no matter what the speed. It did not matter if she was in an arena, on the trail, alone, with others, going fast or just walking. It was the same tone. One day on a trail ride, her horse spooked hard and broke out at a dead gallop across the New Mexico desert. She screamed and screamed, but the horse took the bit and ran. He ran into one of the canyons of the area and bashed his rider's knees on the rocks, tore her through trees and bushes, and finally turned toward a huge ravine. Barreling down on it, the poor rider could only pray and possibly dive off the horse, but either way, it was not likely that the horse was going to make it out of this without serious injury. The horse noticed the ravine at the last second and sort of slid and fell to a stop. Her rider just sat there shaking, unable to speak, her life flashing before her eyes. When Gawani showed up, he looked at the horse, frothing and heaving, and the woman shaking, knees bleeding, hands bashed, face scratched and pale. He asked her how her horse was supposed to know the difference between a true life-or-death situation or not, when her tone always indicated that they were in some sort of immediate danger. She had desensitized the horse to the point where he just didn't have faith or trust in her communication. Everything sounded urgent, so therefore there was no difference to him when they were in actual danger. A calm, rational rider knows how to communicate with her horse. She knows how to use tones. She speaks little, she speaks softly, so that when she does get loud, you know that there is a reason and you sit up and listen. Women tend to do this to men as well. We talk and talk and talk and cry over stupid things too often, sometimes, and get angry over little things so much, that when we really get hurt and say something, it gets brushed away and muddled up with the rest. We must learn to say less, to speak more softly, but we must never forget how to voice our needs and concerns. We must never repress our crying. We simply need to learn to evaluate the severity of our emotions. Do we need to nitpick everything? Do we need to stress over everything? Or should we better choose our battles? So many of the things that bother us today, we won't even remember 5 days from now. So maybe, just let the little things go. In addition to this, we must learn to be self-aware, aware of how we look to the world, to our ancestors. Would they be proud? How do we sound to others? We must learn to look at ourselves through the lens of a higher power. Here is your homework for this week. We live in a day and age where almost every girl is in front of a camera at least once a day, and yet very few take the time to really look at themselves, to really hear themselves. I want you, this week, to videotape yourself doing mundane things. What do you look like sitting around the house? What do you look like spaced out watching YouTube or playing on your phone? How much time do you spend doing those things? How do you sound interacting with your parents at the end of the day? How do you sound interacting with your peers? How many times did you complain? Take note of that and all of that and the good things that you did too. Did you read a book? Put groceries away? Feed the cat? Record it. And then watch it back and try to view it from the perspective of God or aliens or your ancestors. What would they have to say about it? Write your findings in your book so we can share them during this quarter's Lunar Live stream. As always, have a blessed day. Namaste.